From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Beres here. It's Monday. It's the day after the weekend. Hope you had a great weekend, and certainly with some beautiful, beautiful weather. And now, the beginning of the work week, we've got a good show to set things off for you today. You know, every fall season we come about here, all the networks announce, some of their new shows along with some of their favorites that come back, and it's picking up with a new season. It's an exciting time. I love this time because we're about to get back into the new storylines and pick up where we left off. And so we like every time, this time of year rather, to open up the phones and let you call in, ask questions about our programming here at News Channel 5, and get previews. We're going to run some clips for you and everything about what's coming up on CBS Primetime with our programming director here at News Channel 5. That would be Mark Binda. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Nice to have you here.
It's the best day of the year, other than Christmas and Thanksgiving, the start of the fall season.
Start of the fall season. People really do look forward to that. And, CBS has some great shows, but everyone knows all the networks unveil some new programs, right?
Yeah, there's some good ones on all the stations, yeah.
But talk about how much thought and time goes into building up to this day, especially for the new shows. How long does it take for them to develop new shows and concepts?
The networks are already buying, buying scripts and committing to projects for next fall.
Right.
So it's amazing. CBS announced the other day that they're developing Supergirl for next season.
Yeah.
Because superheroes are hot this year. We can talk about that later.
It's amazing. Well, there are going to be new programs coming up on CBS, and some of the old classics and standbys. The good shows are going to come back with the pick up where they left off. Criminal Minds, of course.
NCIS.
Blue Bloods, NCIS. But we're going to show you some clips as we go through this also. But wanted to ask Mark, you're always good about giving folks a sense of what the viewership is for our sporting events. And I'm wondering, how did the Titans do this past weekend in terms of viewership?
Yeah, the rating was 22.2. And what that means is a percentage of the overall audience that's out there. So that means 22% of all Nashville homes were watching that game yesterday. Which, is a very good number in and of itself.
Right.
Because, the average primetime show, a really big hit now like NCIS probably does high teens, but the average primetime shows, maybe a 10 or even below that, an 8. So 22 is really good, but for the Titans, that's a low number. Because when the Titans were really good a few years ago, we would be in the 30s or the high 20s, 28, 29. Last week, the game against the Cowboys, which, there's a ton of Cowboy fans around here, was only a 20.8, which is really low.
I think people just right now are disappointed in the performance of the squad.
You tune in the game and, it's 19-0 at the halftime, and you just say, I'm going to go mow the lawn or rake leaves or whatever.
Well, exactly. That's kind of what I did.
Watch the
Poseidon Adventure, which is always a good watch.
Either way, a disaster, right?
Hey, do you get a sense, though, the NFL on a national scale, based on viewership this weekend, last weekend, still, of course, it's the king, getting pretty darn good numbers. Not just on our network, but on any, right?
I haven't seen the national numbers. I haven't seen anything that says they're down. Now, there have been some bad games. So we had, a really bad game Thursday night. It was 56-14 by the end of the first quarter is 28-0. So the ratings for that game were not good.
Yeah, you need good games.
We'll see. I think the ratings, certainly that was a great Broncos-Seahawks game yesterday. Went into overtime.
Awesome game.
Tremendous game. So, this Ray Rice and Roger
I was wondering,
Goodell
that was where I was going to ask if some of the bad publicity off the field you think has affected the NFL, which I've said all along, it's not going to affect viewership of the games. Well, I think maybe people are certainly disturbed by what they're hearing.
Yeah, maybe the casual fans gotten a little jaded, a little tired of it. I think there's so many people who play fantasy football and whatnot that they still tune into the games. And it's early. We'll see how things go.
Just wondering how that went. All right, well, listen, we've got the phone lines open, 737-7587. Your chance to call in, ask about maybe a favorite program of yours, or maybe make a suggestion. Not that Mark is in a position to tell CBS what programs to come up with, even though I bet you'd be good at that. Yeah. But you're welcome to join. But before we get to calls and stuff, and we take our first break, let's talk about a couple of the new shows that we've seen promoted a bit. Maybe we can start with Scorpion. And you tell us a little bit about that, and we also have a clip to run from that.
Okay, well, Scorpion premieres tonight. Big Big Bang from 7 to 8, and The Scorpion follows at 8 o'clock. Based on a true story of Walter O'Brien, who's I think the 5th smartest person in the world. In real life, he actually helped the Boston Police Department capture the Boston bombers. He was the one who came up with the camera system or whatnot. But the premise is that he's assembled a team of the smartest people in the world, and they go to work for the FBI, helping them to avert disasters, solve cases. The pilot tonight is tremendous. I mean, it's directed by the guy who's done all the Fast and Furious movies. So, I mean, tons of great special effects. Kind of a no-name cast. Catherine McPhee of American Idol fame is the female lead. Robert Patrick, who is the Terminator in the Terminator movies, not the Arnold, but the other Terminator.
Yeah, right.
He's in there, but a really great pilot. I think people will like it. You know, because it's kind of the nerds of Big Bang Theory, but now kind of in an action role. In action. You know?
I like the, one following the other there. Well, we've got a clip. Let's take a look at that, because I've seen some of this, and this one I'm looking forward to. Let's have a look.
People in metal will be falling from the sky in less than 2 hours. I need you.
Scorpion is about a group of geniuses. It's the story of the 4th smartest man in the world, Walter O'Brien.
You wrote a document to connect with me emotionally?
And this is a decision tree?
You may be trying, Walter, but you're still a million miles from normal.
He's recruited other brilliant minds for his company, Scorpion.
We have a combined IQ of nearly 700, and we can't even pay our bills.
We've been at this for 2 years. The whole reason why I started this company is because we have more to offer than just fixing routers.
They're trying to accomplish a greater sense of purpose. Came to LA to start a strategic response team. Mechanical prodigy.
Here we go.
World-class shrink. A human calculator. We need you on software. You want to do something meaningful? Here's your chance.
This group of characters don't fit in anywhere else. These people, because of their genius, are really isolated.
They have double the intellect of what normal people have. They also sometimes have double the neuroses.
Screw this up. Brains and guts are gonna bounce all over town.
Actually, fuel tanks ignite on impact. You won't find a body part.
Blood-soaked spleen could burn at a slower rate.
Please check your language around my 9-year-old. Be decent in my place of work. Thank you.
Paige will be the gateway for them to other situations that might be a bit tricky for them to navigate.
He's playing chess with a grandmaster who's about to lose.
Checkmate in 8 moves. This kid is amazing.
Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but your son is a genius.
They can lead her to a better relationship with her 9-year-old son.
I've never been able to fully connect with him, and not in the way that I've seen him connect with you guys today.
You want to know about your son? I can translate him for you. Make sure that he's not scared of anything that he's capable of.
This thing doesn't have airbags.
Oh, you know what? These speeds are useless. Go faster.
Walter O'Brien is a real person. That's what's intriguing to me.
These people do exist, and the things that they do are just fascinating.
There are human beings who go to bed at night and have to solve these problems.
Being a genius is not always...
And it goes on. That's kind of a behind-the-scenes look at it.
Right.
That gives you a sense. You recognize some of the faces, some of them you didn't.
Right.
It's kind of a cool concept.
Yeah. It again, like I said, I hope they can keep up the action in subsequent episodes, because the pilot is really tremendous in terms of.
I'll be watching tonight. I'm going to check it out tonight. I'll be flipping between that and Monday Night Football.
Well, you watch, Big Bang, and then of course it's right. The Under the Dome finale is right after.
See, gosh, there's a bunch of good stuff on tonight. Holy cow! All right. Let's take a call from Lita, because we've got more clips to come, but the phone line's open. Lita, good morning.
Yes, I would like to say I do enjoy the fall preview, but at the same time, though, I feel like after Rob Barona's death, there should be a documentary that should be made and that should be shown for maybe a couple of days, because we as Tennesseans need to show the NFL that we embrace their players and that we embrace them as one of us who has helped to contribute to Nashville and to the growth of Nashville. I think this is one thing that we lack behind sometimes, and that is just jumping on the subject to show our love and respect for what is our own. And that's my comment.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad she called in on that because we touched on the Titans ratings, and Mary Elena, our producer, actually has some clips of Rob Ronas, and we thought we might bring it up during the show. And that's a very, very sad story.
And I'm sure in the news department, you guys will be covering that story a lot this week. And I don't obviously know anything about funeral arrangements, but
we'll find out today as we maybe learn more about exactly what it was that caused that wreck. But yesterday, I know our sports was retweeting a lot of the tweets of former Titans players, and Rob Ronas, I think, the fourth most accurate field goal kicker, place kicker in NFL history.
I think
his final statistics like that. Not the leading scorer in Titans history.
No.
I think Al Del Greco was. But certainly, by all accounts, I never met the man, but I was a fan, and I'm glad she called in. He was always very involved in the community, I think. Had just gotten married, and still in his mid-30s, and just a very, very sad story. And yeah, he was a big part of this community for a long time, part of some really good Titans teams, too.
Right.
So, listen, I appreciate, Lita, you mentioning that, and certainly that's something we'll continue to follow on that. Listen, we need to take a break, though. When we come back, we've got other shows. NCIS New Orleans. So they keep expanding. They're going to be all over the country in no time. Stalker. We can talk a little bit about Madam Secretary, which premiered last night. And we've got the lines open, 737-7587. We're all wondering at what point one of you might call in and ask Mark about one of his favorite old programs. And we'll see. I'm not going to give it away yet, because if they don't, I will. We'll take a break and be back with more right after this. What is